Hey folks, Paul from Easy Acres Homestead. Recently reached 1,000 subscribers, so congratulations me. And look what my dog is doing. She wants to play. Anyway, I put it out there that I would do an FAQ, ask me anything. And here's the first question I'm going to answer. This is from Nina84734, and she says, I'm assuming she. Hi, Paul. I don't think you've ever shown us the inside of your little cabin. Maybe that's too nosy, but it must be a cozy place. New dog and cat doing all right? How are your little quail? Congrats on 1,000 subs. I always enjoy your sense of humor. You're also a great storyteller. Excuse me. Thank you very much, Nina. You want to go check in on the quail? Let's go take a look. So here they are. They're doing rather well. I do need to give them a little bit more sand for their enclosure, and it's probably about time that I sweep up their droppings down there. But you open up their coop. I'm not sure if you can see this very well, but I recently gave them a bunch of this juniper kind of chips that I've been saving for them. And they've been really enjoying that. They like to root around in it and, you know, make their own little nests in there. Let me see if I have any eggs. I don't think so. Nope. Okay, that's all right. I'm not getting a lot of sun, so I'm not getting as many eggs as I usually do. So the quail are doing great at the moment. I only have about 11, and you know, based off the square footage, I can probably comfortably have another 3 or 4 in here. But I will be working on a larger quail enclosure here soon, so stay tuned for that. Alrighty, and now we're gonna do the cabin tour. Tell me all what you think of that door. I love it, man. I love that giant window there. Lets in a whole ton of light, especially in the morning. It's perfect. Sit by the wood stove and enjoy some coffee. Speaking of the wood stove, so here's my wood stove. I always keep a big pot of water on it. Hot water is extremely useful for cleaning dishes, laundry, that sort of thing. Bathing. Got my basin here that I use for my baths. And back there, I've also got another 5-gallon bucket full of water in case I need it. I got my pot of coffee going, of course. Excuse me just a moment, if you would be so kind. Oh my gosh, I'm almost out. All right, and you know, I got a little kettle back here that's always got water in it. Hot water is just so useful. Got to have it. Down here under the stove, I'm not sure if you can see it, but let me move this a little bit. Looks like a whole bunch of sticks, and that's exactly what it is. This is mountain mahogany that I cleared from my property, and what I'm doing with it is I'm just keeping it down here with the bark on so it cures. And what I'm making with it are these rabbit snare triggers. And so the way this works is with a spring pole, like a, you know, a very limber kind of sapling. You attach your trigger and your snare to it. This is a stake that goes into the ground, hooks on there, and when the rabbit trips the snare, gets pulled up into the sapling and up and out of the reach of coyotes and bobcats that'll happily take the rabbits off your trap if you're not checking them. Anyway, I've got a whole bunch of those going at the moment. I will have a video shortly about rabbit trapping. I've been doing a whole lot of it lately. Okay, moving on. So this here is my kind of pantry. Keep a lot of dried stuff in jars. I collect jars any chance that I can get, and I drink a ton of coffee, so I always have a lot of coffee jars. And box stuff, cans, you know, keep some potable water here at all times. I think you can see it down there, but this is my little supply of green onions that I put underneath the spout, so any incidental drips go in there. Some of the rabbit's feet that I've been curing in borax. I might figure out a way to put a cap on them, and maybe I'll use them as giveaways or something for my YouTube channel, something like that. We'll see. This here is the shelf pet bed thing that I made. Maidu, my dog, sleeps down here. Mr. Monster, my cat, sleeps up here. It's got this reflective material over here, so it reflects their body heat back at them. Keep some extra food up there, medicine. I bought these walkie-talkies, but I don't really have anybody to talk to. I don't know why I got them, but I have them. So that's kind of this part of the cabin. I'll show you where I sleep. Okay, this is my bed. It's a Swedish folding bed. It's a really interesting design. I got it really cheap off of Craigslist years ago. I think it's smaller than a twin bed. It's not very large, but you know, works for me just fine. I love wool. I sleep on wool. Wool is amazing stuff. Insulates extremely well. It also will insulate even when wet. It can smother a fire as well. It's not going to burn. So wool is great stuff. Everybody should have a bunch of these wool blankets. I got these from Bud K. Bud K is a company that makes really cheesy, corny knives, but they also have like a good buy one, get one deal on these wool blankets for like 20 bucks. The only problem with Bud K is if you order anything through them, you're going to get millions of catalogs, or fire starters is what I use them for. Anyway, so wool here. I got a nice Pendleton blanket that I sleep on top of, and U.S. Army surplus sleeping bag. It's, you know, I slept in them for years, and I continue to sleep in them. I got my laundry back here, getting ready to go to town shortly, hopefully, probably. So I've got one of the wool blankets I usually sleep on. Guys, wash your bedding a lot. It just, you know, wash your bedding a lot. Anyway, and just everything hung up over here. I really want to get that pit house done out front, so that way I'll have more room to, you know, kind of free up some space in here. Okay, let me show you where I cook. So this is my Camp Chef kind of cooking setup. I love this thing. Works amazing. It's got 2 burners on it, and I got this off of Facebook Marketplace for a good deal. It even has an oven that I haven't used yet, so we'll see. Propane tank, spices that I use when I'm cooking. The propane, my propane usage isn't much. I go through about 1.5 of these large 5-gallon tanks per winter. When I talk to folks who live out this way, a lot of them use a ton more. And I think the reason I don't use as much as they do is because I also do a lot of my cooking on the wood stove. Anything I can get, sorry about that, my battery died all of a sudden on me. Anything I can get away with, I cook on the wood stove. It's already producing heat. It's already there. There's no reason not to utilize it. It's already going. So that really helps on my propane usage. And, you know, honestly, I try to limit my use of fossil fuels. To me, that's just something that just ties you to the grid. Up here in my window, love my window, looks out over my wildflower garden. And this is Mr. Monster's, this is his door over here. I tried a number of different door setups for him. I tried a swinging wooden door that I put a lot of work into. He did not like it, so it didn't get used. I tried leather for a bit, you know, like a leather kind of swinging door that he didn't care for either. But what he does actually use is this, you know, cloth kind of flap setup. He doesn't mind that very much. But yeah, check him out over here. Check him out. Check out Mr. Monster right now. How you doing, buddy? You like your bed? Yeah? Yeah, it's attack cat time, huh? You're a cat cat. You're a cat cat. Okay, let me show you my food setup. All right, now this is my cool food storage, and what it is, it's a Coleman cold box. This thing's really cool. A friend of mine up in Salem gave it to me. I really appreciate it. So what I do is you can put ice up in this top portion here, and it even drains. But what I usually do is take these water bottles, stick them outside in the evening, and let them freeze overnight. And when they're frozen, put them in here, and it keeps this box nice and cold. The only thing I kind of don't like about it is the front opening. It kind of spills all the cold air out when you do open it, but you know, it's fine. I keep it covered with blankets, with towels, so the radiant heat from the wood stove, which is right behind me here, doesn't, you know, warm this thing up too much. And it'll keep ice in there. If I have a frozen bottle in there, it'll keep it for a couple days at least, especially in the wintertime. So that's where I keep most of my perishable kind of food. And that's the, you know, interior of my little humble cabin. It's quite small. It's only 10 by 10 by 16. So it's quite a small little setup, but it is quite cozy for me. All right, polish off the rest of this coffee. And Nina, thank you so much for your question. I really appreciate it. I appreciate everybody who left a comment and a question, and I will get around to each and every one of them. Thank you guys so much. Hope you have a wonderful 2024 ahead of you, and be easy. A question that I get all the time on Instagram or Facebook or Reddit is, how are you off grid and still online? Okay. So I get this question all the time, and what I use is this. It's a little home-fi device, and basically you have to have a tower nearby. When I first moved out here, my cell carrier didn't service this area. I spent my first winter basically like that, kind of cut off. It was great. It was fine. But I called my cell carrier and asked them if there was a network that I could get on that is serviced by this area. And they were actually able to hook me up. And using that tower and this little home-fi device, I have basically 4G internet. I have done a little bit of online gaming. It uses a ton of electricity, so I don't do it often at all. But it's fast enough for anything like that. I fall asleep every night watching YouTube, so this little home-fi device is fantastic. If you're in an area that is serviced by a tower, it's rechargeable with a USB-C plug. Uses less energy than my phone. And I think my bill averages about $60 to $80 a month based on my usage. So cheaper than Starlink, uses less power than Starlink, and you're not giving your dollars to Muskie. Anyway, so that is how I stay off grid, but still have internet connection.
All right, next question. Neowana says, congrats, Paul, on reaching 1,000 subscribers. Thank you very much. Mind sharing what motivated you to move off grid and the top 3 pros and cons of the lifestyle? Thank you. I wish you a healthy and prosperous 2024. Neowana, back at you. I wish you a healthy and prosperous 2024. So why did I decide to move off grid? It was about 2016, and I kind of noticed that folks just became extremely mean-spirited. And, your standard issue sort of disillusionment with wider society. But, a big factor for me was COVID. And it kind of showed the weaknesses in our system and how we rely on things that aren't always there. And how fragile our supply systems for everything that we depend on are. It made me, I've always been interested in bushcraft and survival and that sort of thing. My father worked at the survival school for a little bit at Fairchild Air Force Base, and I used to go in there and I used to make photocopies of all the survival manuals and take them home. I'm sure that's not a kosher thing to do, but I did it back in the day. I don't know, arrest me. But wider society, I always found, somewhat difficult to deal with. And, for a long time, I always resented folks who got along well in it and who could function well in it. And, I just never felt like I fit in particularly. 3 pros and, let's see, 3 pros and cons. One pro that comes to mind immediately is I kind of wake up and do whatever I want. I'm not beholden to a boss or an employer or a manager, and I get to decide the pace of everything, and it's extremely liberating. Now that does have a con too, and the con is that I'm lazy. So, things don't always get done, but I try my best. Con. It's hard for me to come up with cons that are unique and specific to the off-grid sort of lifestyle, because any con that I can come up with, for instance, the one that comes immediately to mind is that it does get sort of lonely sometimes. Last winter especially, I went through a period of about 8 weeks where I didn't see, speak to, interact with another human. But was I not lonely when I was living in town? Did I always feel included, like there was a community there? Out here, I know every one of my neighbors, and we hook each other up with stuff. I'll drop by and bring some quail eggs to them, and they'll, let me fill up some water tanks, whatever the deal is, So it's kind of a unique thing that you don't really find in the city. So that certainly is a con. I do miss some social interaction. Thank goodness for social media, so I can keep up to date with stuff and keep in touch with friends of mine. So social media is a tool. It's like any tool. It's like I don't know, a knife. It can be extremely useful or it can be extremely damaging. It just depends on how you use it. Social media is no different. So I don't see it as an inherently bad thing. It usually turns out that way, though. Anyway, rambling. Pro to living off grid in this lifestyle. My soft skill development. And what I mean by that is, when you look at a lot of the popular off-grid, bushcrafty YouTube content, you know what I mean? It's usually going to be somebody who kind of looks like me, a rugged, bearded, guy kind of showing you how to snare a rabbit or, split wood, or he's going to show you how to cut down a tree with your bare hands or whatever. But, and those skills are great. Learn how to skin a deer, learn how to, do all that stuff. But I think one of the most valuable lessons that I've learned are the soft skills. How do you stretch water as far as you can? Water conservation, that's a skill. It's not something a lot of folks think about, They might see cold coffee and throw it out. I don't do that around here. It's just water is so precious. You can't waste it like that. Even urine I try to reuse. I made a post, in one of my updates, I did demonstrate the use of my urine desalination bucket contrivance that I developed, and I try to use everything as much as possible. It's these soft skills that you really develop. How to be alone, how to function by yourself without help is certainly one of the things that takes quite a bit of work sometimes. So that's definitely a pro to living out here, is it makes you aware of your resource usage, and it makes you aware how much you actually need. A con to living this lifestyle. Getting sick or injured is terrible. I am fairly remote. If I needed help, it would be difficult for somebody to get out to me unless I had like a 4-wheel drive, high clearance sort of vehicle, and could navigate sort of, these roads that are around here. What do you got? What is that? So getting sick or injured out here is certainly what I would consider a con. You're very far from any sort of help. Additionally, because of your remoteness, the law is quite far away. In this area, unfortunately, there are a number of people whose idea of off-grid is more along the lines of drug use and thievery than, being aware of one's usage and stewardship of the land. So that is an element out here that, one must be prepared for. Sorry, I see a deer over there. I think it heard me and wandered off into the bushes. Pretty cool. Anyway, there's another pro for you. So that's certainly a factor out here. You're a long way from help. That's one of the cons. So, one more pro. Living out here has been extremely good for my mental health. I'm actually quite content in solitude and everything. I know I listed that as a con, and it can be. But like I said, a lot of these pros are also cons in a way. The same could be said for living in a city. What's good about it is you have running water. What's bad about it? You got to pay for it, So every one of these, kind of points that I'm bringing up has a counterpoint. So it's very hard for me to come up with like anything that's purely pro or con. But being out here, the solitude, the quiet, has been extremely good for my mental health. That is certainly a pro for me. So I think I need one more con. What's another con about living out here? This is going to sound silly, but gosh, I miss fast food. I miss, like when I'm scrolling through social media and an Arby's ad comes up and it's like, man, I could go for a beef and cheddar right now. I miss that sort of thing, but you don't need it. Like those soft skills I was talking about, realizing what you really need. It's not something that you actually need. It's just, how it is. Anyway, Neowana, thank you so much for your question. Really appreciate it. And my best wishes for you in 2024. Hope you stick around. I got more material coming out for you. And thank you so much for your awesome question. And be easy.
All right, next question. So, Tammy M 2753 says, "Hiya, Paul. Congratulations on surpassing 1,000 subscribers. Thank you very much. I hope your channel grows from strength to strength. Thank you. My questions to you is, do you go to Korea often, and would you ever live there? And 2, what does your family think about you living off-grid and not doing the daily 9-to-5 job?" The last time that I was in Korea, it was some time ago. Last time I was in Korea would have been 2013, so a little better than 10 years ago, and I was stationed there when I was in the military. I had a pretty easy job. I gave new soldiers to Korea their welcome to Korea brief and kind of explained the culture to them a little bit. Very easy, very cake job. I had it was interesting because I was stationed like across the street from my high school in Korea. It was odd. But would I go back there? Absolutely. I would. Homesteading in Korea would be amazing. It has an excellent climate for a lot of crops that you'd want to grow. It gets a lot of rain in the summertime. You do get all 4 seasons there, but the summer monsoons I can see being amazing for growing vegetables or a lot of different kinds of crops. And I've been really interested in Korean food lately because a lot of it doesn't require refrigeration and is made to be shelf stable. So something I've always been interested in. Second part to your question. Now, let me move to this tire back here. Second part to your question. What does my family think about me doing the off-grid thing and not working a 9-to-5 job? My family is actually fairly supportive. That said, I've always been kind of a bizarre, rangy, loner kind of child, so I don't think it came as a major surprise to many of them, and to be honest with you, I think compared to how many of them probably imagined my life ending up, it's probably one of the better outcomes that could have happened to me. So I am very blessed to have a lot of support from my family in this little off-grid endeavor here. So I'm very lucky about that. Anyway, Tammy, thank you so much for your question, and appreciate you asking and appreciate your subscription. And I hope you have a wonderful new year and a healthy and easy 2024. Thanks again. Hup. All right, good girl. Okay. So a person 2818 asks, "Hey, wanted to ask 2 things. How hard was it to adjust to your new lifestyle? And do you think you would have liked this type of living when you were young?" And in parentheses, "It's important to experience more things in life before settling down as an off-gridder, homesteader, or would you have done this as a person right out of college/high school if you had the means?" Last question is for your younger viewers, I suppose. I'm 24 and interested in living like a hermit, all carefree of modern days BS. A person 2818, thank you so much for the question, and certainly understandable to want to live a more solitary kind of existence. Would I have done this when I was younger? Sure, I think so. I don't think that for me age is necessarily a factor, but there's a balance though, because I find the older and more experienced I am, the better I am at this sort of thing.
but at the same time, the older you get, the harder it is to live off-grid. You know, that said, I know people well into their 50s, 60s, 70s, and 80s who live off-grid and alone full-time. So it is something that can be done. But you know, I don't think in my early 20s I would have had the means to do it like I am now. But yes, I do think that I would have done it. That said, I've had a pretty wide-ranging kind of life, and I really do appreciate that. And you know, this lifestyle suits me right now. So it may not in 5, 10, 15 years, and you know, no lifestyle that anybody adopts has to be the last one that they choose. You know, the whole idea is that you're playing life by your rules, and that's what matters. A person, thank you very much for your question. I love that younger people are, you know, curious about living a slower, you know, more conscious and aware kind of lifestyle. And, you know, keep researching, man. Keep looking into it, and support you 100%. And I hope 2024 is a fantastic year for you. Thank you very much for your question. All right, next question is from Stuck1000, and Stuck says, what's an average day like for you from waking up to bedding down? What different chores or activities do you do during your day? Congrats on hitting 1,000. Thank you so much, Stuck. Thank you for the question, and thanks for your support. Average day. Kind of no such thing. The broad answer to your question is I do what I feel like, which is awesome. Usually, and a lot of that is seasonal, you know, so if it's springtime, it's going to be, you know, mostly gardening. If it's wintertime, it might be trapping, it might be hunting, that sort of thing. Kind of whatever it is that I need to do for that day. So there's not really an average day for me. It's just whatever needs to happen. Of course, looking after these guys is always a priority. Looking after my quail is always a priority. Even in the wintertime, I have my little hugelkultur cold frame going, and so there is some gardening to be had in the wintertime. But there's, you know, generally not really going to be an average day like a lot of people think of it. It's incredibly liberating just to be able to do what you want, and your priorities are important. I think most of us go through our entire lives not prioritizing for ourselves, you know, in a lot of the kind of things that we do to support ourselves. So this lifestyle allows one to do that, which is a pretty unique sort of experience. Anyway, Stuck1000, thank you so much for your question. Really, really appreciate it. I appreciate your support, and I hope you have a wonderful 2024. Thank you. Be easy. Anyway, folks, thank you so much for submitting your questions, those of you who did. And thank you again from the bottom of my heart. I am extremely grateful for y'all's support. Look at that, over 1,000 subscribers. That's amazing. If you want to see me do more of these Ask Me Anythings or frequently asked questions in the future, let me know in the comments if that's something that you would like. And in the meantime, I hope you all have a wonderful, healthy, safe 2024. And y'all take care and be easy.